This is Simon Shackleton, aka Elite Force, Zodiac Cartel, Lunatic Calm, and the Shadowmaker, and you're listening to the Liverpool Connection podcast, music and football episodes.
Hi everyone, and welcome to the Liverpool Connection podcast. I'm your host Daz. This is my music and football episode, where if you don't know, I usually bring on a DJ, producer, or musician to come and talk about the two loves of life, which is music and football. Today I've got a fantastic guest. I've not had too many drum and bass producers on. I've had the Ragga Twins on, which was really, really cool.
Awesome.
The best one because it was Flinty, who's a Red. So because his brother's a Spurs fan, so
yeah,
I can't imagine that whole household. But I've got Moving Fusion, better known as Jeff, who's a brilliant producer and DJ. We're going to get into music first. So welcome to the pod, Jeff.
Thanks, Daz. Nice to be invited. Thank you.
What's even better about Jeff is he's a Liverpool supporter, which, knocks it out the park already.
Come on, you Reds.
Yeah, having a fantastic season and hopefully it'll continue. First off, I want to know your roots and influences in music. What was played in your house as a young kid, and did that have any influence on you?
Again, thanks for inviting me on as well, Daisy. So it's great to be involved. Growing up, the two are so intertwined as well between football and music for me. It's strange. My dad is a guitarist, played in a band, was local restaurants and bars and pubs, and would go out solo. And he played a lot of country music, a lot of country music from the 70s and the 80s. Don McLean was his big hero, American Pie. That was his big hero. So although it was going on around me, I actually, interestingly, had no interest in music until about the age of 13, 14. And then it started to click with me. Until then, it was just a noise in the background. And he would teach guitar, so we'd have people coming around to our house, and I'd hear him down there till late in the night playing his country music on the guitar, and it didn't really impact on me that much, really. I was just all about football, and so from about the age of 5, I guess, my only real interest was football, and Liverpool during that time was, the early 80s were the successful club. So I really was influenced by football a lot until about 13 or 14. Then my older brother, through him, I started getting introduced to different musics. I started getting into Pink Floyd, The Cure, In Excess, Bowie, and then a bit later on started to kind of get into some early acid house that was coming into the UK around the time, all through my brother at this time. And I think still at that point, I more just got into it because I thought it was cool because my older brother did it. I don't even know if I actually had a real love for it. But then I guess around 14, 15, there was a big movement in the UK taking place that I didn't even know about. And that was the birth of hardcore and jungle music. And then, around 14, 15, I started hearing this. And now, I was part of a group of friends who were also going down that path. They were a little bit older than me, so they were a couple of years above me in school. So they started going out to raves, and I couldn't necessarily go with them. And then I went to one at, I think, 16. It was Roller Express in North London, Tottenham. It was Elevation at a warehouse in a trading estate in the middle of Tottenham. Didn't tell my parents, just went up there on the train, me and 7 or 8 mates, and I somehow got in. I wasn't big as a 16-year-old either. I looked about 13, but somehow I got into this, and that was literally it. I mean, I went from, all within the space of about 6 to 9 months, I went from being the club captain of the amateur side that I played for, the captain of my school team. I had played for the district team, which is London Schoolboys, London Borough of Havering. I was the captain of London Borough of Havering for a year and a half. I had some trials with Essex, so I was good. I was a decent centre midfielder, small for my age, but I was good. Technically, I was good. And within 6 to 9 months of going to that first rave, by mid-15, football was done. I'd stopped playing every level, the county, the district, my club team, the school, and I was all about going out and buying music tapes and tape packs from raves, and that was when music got me. At that point, then it was like a bug. I had this just pure bug and buzz for jungle music, as it was back then, and so that's how it really developed for me. I was brought up in Hornchurch, East London, and obviously Ram Records, the label I was signed to for 10, 12 years. The Andy C, the owner, and the pioneer of Ram, he lived just local to me. I didn't actually know him growing up until later on. I met him through Shimon, who I knew from school. I went to school with Shimon. And then I guess around 17, I then realised I was in a big crew. There was like 9 or 10 of us, maybe more. And everyone talked about buying equipment, buying a sampler and a mixing desk and learning how to make music. And everyone had talked about it for a couple of years. But I realised then such was the influence that jungle had on me. I then went from being an aspiring young footballer to, I want to release music on Ram Records. That was it. Beyond that, I had nothing. I just want to release a record on Ram. And it felt accessible because I'd been at school with Shimon, and he just made tunes like Quest and Night Flight that had blown up. And then Andy was a local guy, and he was, he made Long Dark Tunnel and was making these headways in this scene that I was aspiring to be involved in. So I went to Paris for I was an apprentice bricklayer at that time, and I was halfway through my apprenticeship, and I went to Paris, and I had this whole goal. I was going to go to Paris, earn the money required to come back and buy a studio in my bedroom and set up. And I remember saying to my parents, I said, right, I'm going to Paris, and I'm going to finish my apprenticeship, so I'll get the qualification, but I want to make music. And they went, but they were and are so supportive. So I went to Paris, came back with some money, and I bought I bought an Akai sampler and a basic mixing desk and some speakers, and started trying to learn. And it was open the manual, page 1. Where do I start? So that's where I started. And all the other guys would come in and sit there for a couple of hours and go. But the one that stood out, who was really interested and had the dedication, was Spar. And so over the course of the first few months, it just whittled down to, it was just me and Spar in the studio. Spar's my partner from Moving Fusion. And then that was it. We sat there and in my bedroom on parents' house, and we worked on. We learned to make music, and such was our naivety, Daz. At that point, I remember a few months in, the first time we put a snare drum on the 2nd and 4th beat, and it went, and we were both like, "Oh my God, we've done it. We know, it was," and it sounds so stupid, like. Of course, anyone who knows anything about music, but we were so green back then. And so from there, so we did that for 2 years. And then we started trying to, the projects were getting better and better, and we were playing them to Andy. He was like, yeah, you're getting there. It sounds good. And then we made one and took it to Trouble on Vinyl, because Andy said, oh, it's okay, but not quite ready. But we felt it was very average, but we felt it was like, we're getting there. we've been doing this for almost 2 years now. So we took it to Trouble on Vinyl, which was a label based in South London. I don't know if you know it, but and they released it. They wanted to release it, so we released it. Well, that gave us this massive boost of confidence. The next time we were in the studio, we made Turbulence, which was the one that put us on the map, you know, and we took it to Randy, and they signed it, and we released that, and then that was really it. Then, Daz, it was within 6 months, maybe 8 months of releasing that, we were booked to play a show in Switzerland to replace Andy, who couldn't be there because he got double booked. So not only are we doing a gig, I was never a DJ, Daz, either. Spar was a DJ for years. So all of a sudden now we got this offer of a booking in Zurich, in Switzerland, and we had about 3 or 4 weeks to prepare for it, and I'd never DJed. So all of a sudden I had to now, and I said to Spar, he was like, what do you mean we can't do this? You don't even DJ. I said, well, I'm going to learn. And of course, it was a bit of a car crash, the first show. But then we were booked to go to do a tour of Australia and New Zealand, and out of nowhere, you know, and we got 5 dates in Australia and New Zealand. And then that was it. It had become a career then, out of nowhere. And I didn't even think that far forward, Daz. All I wanted to do was release a record on RAM, and I'd done that. And then off the back of that, all of these bookings started coming in, and this interest in what we were doing. And it was a great time as well. We were part of a crew in East London, you know, Andy, Shimon, Ant Miles, Spar, myself, you know, and we were buzzing. There was a really friendly competition amongst us, you know, which drove each other on. We'd go around to Shim's late at night, and we played GoldenEye on the I don't know, was it Nintendo or the PlayStation, whatever. And then we play what we'd done that week, and there was this really friendly but healthy competition to drive each other on. And so that was the journey, basically, to summarize it and condense it. That was the journey into music.
Well, what was it about Jungle that really got you?
It was something new I'd never heard. But having said that, I can't really say that because I didn't really have that much interest in music that much before that. So I guess if I had to really be specific, it was this feeling when I first went to that rave and all these people together feeling the same feelings and hearing this new music. And I felt a part of something. I felt part of a community. Even before I became an artist, I felt part of a movement, and I didn't know it. I was too young. I was 18. I didn't know what, these movements were about. I didn't know anything about it. Why it was that particular music that grabbed me, and in the area we came from Hornchurch, it was predominantly most of the people I went to school with. They grew up to get into house and to techno or to Britpop around that time. But jungle was really excelling in like inner London and Birmingham and inner cities, and we were on the outskirts of London, so it was a little bit different for us. But it just got us, and I felt part of something. And then having made a record and getting the attention, with people like DJ Hype and Randall, coming to us and going, "Have you got any new music?" I've been going out raving to these people for 2 or 3 years by this time, and now they're calling me Jeff. They know me on first name terms. I was like, now that feeling of belonging has just gone next level. Now I feel like I'm a superstar. Randall's calling me Jeff. Randall knows me, So I guess that. But it was a really powerful movement at the time as well. It really was. It was something absolutely unique to the UK. And I guess specifically London originally, it just gripped me. And obviously I'm talking about the kind of community feel for it, but the music itself, I don't know, it was just special. It had energy, and it was gnarly, and it was raw, and it was from the street, and it was like nothing I'd ever heard. It was just, I don't know, it just changed me.
Well, I mean, it must have been really good to have obviously a mentor in Andy C. I mean, he's the pinnacle again of drum and bass. Ram Records. Is in folklore, and if you're into drum and bass or if you're into music, you know who Andy is. You know who Ram Records are. So for you, having to be, obviously he's older, but having an arm around you to kind of go, not because as you know that you've been in this business for a while, there's a lot of bullshit that goes on in the music business. The arm
Hell of a
around
lot.
you going, yeah, oh, that's a great record, and then going, oh God, that's shit. You know, you need somebody, like I said, like Andy going, you're not quite there yet. Go back in
Yeah,
the studio and
yeah.
refine what your sound is.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, we were extremely lucky to have Shimon around as well. Shimon, he made a couple of records by that time, and I went to school with Shim, so it was different. Through him, we got the link up with Andy. But um, he's in terms of technical learning within the studio, he was great. I mean, we learned so much from Shim, and still to this day, I pretty much pinpoint my sole motivation or inspiration for wanting to make a record was Shimon, because it felt accessible. Because I went to school with Shim, and he's done this, so it wasn't like it was just people that I didn't know. He's someone I knew from the area. And yeah, and to this day, I still regard Shimon as probably my most influential producer for me. Shimon specifically, of my life in terms of drum and bass.
I wanted to talk about, your debut album, The Start of Something, which is a great title, by the way, because that kind of, you know, it's the start of Moving Fusion.
Ironically, Daz, it was actually the one and only artist album we ever did. So it
Yeah.
was kind of, yeah.
Why,
But
why,
who knows that at the time, right?
why is that though? Because it's a damn good album, and
Thank you.
and if you notice, there's a lot of drum and bass artists that don't. They're all singles. It's just something that they do. There's not. I can count on two hands how many like albums from front to back are classics, and I consider yours a classic to me. There's no fillers.
Well, that's extremely kind of you. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It was something we wanted to do. They'd never. We were the first actual. We were the first single act to do an artist album. Before that, there have been compilations with Andy and Shim, Origin Unknown, Moving Fusion. But in terms of artist albums, we were the first to ever do an artist album. I mean, Ram Trilogy went on to do one. I don't think Shimon and Andy did one. I don't think Origin Unknown did one, but Ram Trilogy did one, which was Andy and Shimon. But and then obviously after that, I think there's been a few. I think Fawkes did one. I think Wilkinson. But at the time, in 2003 or 2002, whenever it was, we were the first artists to do a solo artist album. And that was massive for us. It exceeded all of my expectations. It was a great process in terms of writing it. By this point, in terms of dynamics between me and Spar, we were starting projects on our own. We had a studio right in East London, in Whitechapel in East London, and we would start projects on our own and then assist each other to finish them. So that album, before that, it was very much 50-50 collaborative. But on that album, you can literally split it down the middle, and there's 6 tracks on there, were basically Spar's, and I assisted him with it, and 6 tracks were mine, and he assisted me with them. And I guess the reason I'm saying that is because you asked the question, why was that the only album we ever did? Was because at that time, as I said, I did 6, he did 6, so we were already starting to sort of go. Spar wanted to do his thing, and I wanted to do mine, and We'd been together, I guess, by that point, 5, 6 years, and we'd spent a lot of time together in the studio, on tour, as friends, and our friendship had started to become compromised as a result. And things changed, as you know, it's like, I mean, look at any band or duo. Sometimes there's just a shelf life with it, and we got to a point where Spar particularly, and he won't mind me saying, at that point he wanted to express himself in a solo way. And so I didn't actually want it, Daz. I said to him, "No, mate, this is us. I don't think this is the best thing for us." But he was adamant he wanted to. So after the album, we did the tours after the album to support it. But then it that was it. I could share some funny stories into the lead up of us breaking up, and they are really funny. And me and him laugh about them all the time now because we're great friends again and have been now for many years. But we didn't speak from about, I don't know, 05 through to about 2010. We didn't speak for 5 years, 6 years. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you've got to become like literally brothers, like you said, if you're spending that much time, like I had Lee Roos of the Pump DJs on, and he kind of basically said the same thing. Like, he's the one that goes out and DJs now by himself, but when they're in the studio, they get together. But it's just one of those where I can't imagine, you have a long day's hard work with that person, and then you that night you're on tour, you see him again, and then it's just got.
Well, I think tours as well, especially tours abroad, especially, they highlight this because you're waking up at the hotel. You've got to get a cab to the airport together, and then you fly together, and then you're picked up by the next promoter. We used to do 2-week tours of the US and play 12 nights out of 14. We had 2 nights off in 14, and you're both tired, and you're drinking a lot, and you're not eating well, and all these little idiosyncrasies are just highlighted tenfold. And so things that I did would annoy him, and things that he did would annoy me, and then you find yourself clashing. And it happens a lot. It's not unique to us, and we've laughed about it many times. We were just away in Budapest a couple of weeks ago, and we had NMF was over there, and Optical, and we were sharing some of our stories about this with them, and they were laughing their heads off because they've been through it as well. They've been through it. We've partnered musical partners, so. It's part of the course. But when you spend that much, it becomes like a relationship, and you become each other's emotional punch bags at times, and you get snappy and short, and you think that you're being hard done by, and they think they're being hard done by. It's just all normal human emotions,
Mm-hmm. So to keep the Move Infusion name, did you have to have that chat with him?
Yeah. I mean, it's a great question, but yeah, again, he won't mind me saying, it was, I stood there. It was on the doorstep of my parents' house, and he said to him, "I'm going on my own. I want to work on my own." And I said to him, even though I was really pissed off at him at the time, I said, "Mate, let's take some time apart, take a few months away, make some music, let's come back together." No, he was adamant, he wanted to do it on his own. So I said to him eventually, when I conceded the point, I said, "Okay, well, if that's I'm keeping the name. I bought the equipment, we've done this here, I set this up, you're as much a part of Moving Fusion as me, but I want to keep it going. You don't, so I keep the name. So you've got to go back to square one, as long as you know that." And he was adamant. He was very confident in his ability. And by this time, Daz, he'd probably become the better producer out of the two of us as well. So initially, the equipment was in my home, my parents' home. I had slightly more access to it, although he could come anytime. My parents loved him. It was my equipment, and I was dominant. You know, I'm going to do things my way. You know. But as the time went on, and he got more time in the studio to himself, he became, and he was more naturally musically talented than me. Anyway, he was. His music taste and influences were so much more eclectic and wide than mine. He knew, you know, he had interest in so many different genres of music, and Spar was very talented at just going in there and bringing sounds up and making a sound, making a soundscape. You know, I was very different. I tried to. I was heavily influenced by whatever the track was that I was into at that time. That was my inspiration and motivation in the studio, and I almost set out with I'm going to try and copy that track bit, and it sounds ridiculous, but then obviously I'm not going to copy it fully. I'm going to copy what I've been inspired by and then do my own thing with it. And Spar was very much, he could create something from nothing without necessarily inspiration. So so he was very confident in the sense that I can do this on my own. And you know, again, he said to me many times since, no, ego got in the way, and it does. There's a saying, I think, Dad, it's called the 3 E's: ego, excess, and expectation. Mm-hmm. And it creates great friction. You know, the egos come into it. When we started, we had no ego. We had very little expectation. You know, and then the excess as well. You know, the excess comes with the territory. You're out, and there's stuff around you, and you know, so them three, the ego, excess, and expectation, they do alter things.
Well, for you, like obviously, you know, I've been in America for a long time, so I've seen the scene grow. You know, I used to go to Orlando a lot, and I used to hear AK 1200 and
of course,
Diesel Boy. Now, as you alluded to earlier, you know, you came over to the States. Were you like gobsmacked by like the crowds there? Because, you know, obviously, just when you think of the US at that time, when I moved over there, I didn't think there would be a scene. And I went to Orlando, and there was a big progressive house scene, you know, the Sasha, Digweeds. And then I heard AK, and I was like, all right, you know, it's all right over there. So for you, when you first came over, you just like, holy shit. They know that.
Mind blown, Daz, mind blown, nothing short of mind blowing. I mean, before I even got there, let's just go back. I was mind blown when our agent at the time, Kevin in Philadelphia, who was Andy's agent, and then took on Shimon, and then took on, you know, us, said, yeah, I've got a 12-night tour book for you. What? Where? New York, Chicago, LA, Detroit, Seattle. Are you serious? Yeah. Wow. Okay. So that was the biggest shot that we got the tour. And then when we got there, I mean, it's just, we hadn't experienced anything like it. We're in America. One, we're being paid to go to America. Our flights have been paid for. And when we get there, people are coming up to us and telling us how much they love our music. And the place is packed out. I remember it was a little bit later on. So I guess our first tour to the US was maybe 2000, maybe 99, 2000. But around about 2002, my brother had moved to Chicago. And so I said to him, and he didn't really, you know, he thought we were doing well. He thought we were playing some little gigs here and there around the UK. And somehow he's got a tour to Australia, you know. And I said, mate, we've got a tour to the US, and we're doing a date in Chicago. Oh, great, I'll come and see you. So him and his wife drove down from Milwaukee to Chicago, and it was like a Thursday night, and we were headlining, and we put about, I don't know, 800-900 people in this place, and it was packed out on a Thursday night. And before we go on, my brother and his wife backstage, my brother comes up to me, and his face was like this. I didn't realise, mate. I had people coming up to me. I was signing records, and he was looking. This is my older brother as well, so you know I've always been inferior to him. And all of a sudden, his little brother's now selling out shows in the US. So it was a magical moment, and I guess it was significant for me because I realised that, wow, we really are. We're doing okay at the moment. We're not just getting these tours, but we're selling out shows, and our music is impacting people all over this globe. It's mind blowing. It's overwhelming sometimes.
Yeah, it's and they're fanatic about it over there.
Yeah,
I'm not the biggest fan of like EDM, because I consider that like pop dance music. I'm so far removed from that.
it's pop music now. Yeah,
But back in the early 2000s, like the crowd knew their shit.
yeah.
They knew all these tracks. But I wanted to talk to you. Obviously music is a bit like fashion, it comes around again. And for drum and bass seems to be this big phenomenon again. I mean, it's always been there, but with Chase and Status, coming out with their tracks, it just seems like it's gone up a notch. And then you've got so many of these young producers like what is it, Headaches, putting quality stuff out. It just seems to be resonating with the young kids. Now, for you, as I would say, original OG, as you are, you've been in it for years. It's got to make you feel like proud, that drum and bass is still rocking it.
I mean, first and foremost, absolutely, yeah. I'm extremely proud to have played a small part in this, as everyone has. Everyone plays a small part, and that the small cogs make up this big wheel, and some of the smaller cogs are bigger. The Groove Riders and the Andes, and the Chasing Status is obviously Pendulum, but I'm very proud that I played a small part in it, and left an imprint on it. I'm very proud to see it now as globally as accepted as it is, and I remember even, I don't know, mate, I remember going out locally and hearing people say to me, I bumped into old school friends in a pub locally, and they'd say, "Oh, you still into all that drum and bass?" Yeah. And I've had a career in it, yeah. And but now you don't get that now. Drum and bass now, it's played on Radio 1, it's played on mainstream radio, it's on the television, it's used on adverts, it's everywhere. You've got Chaser Status and Sigma, and like these guys blowing up and taking it to new audiences. So I'm very proud to have played a part in that. There was also a little bit of a point where, and I'm just going to be so candid and honest now, that I think there was a period where I started to feel frustrated, whereby what I mean by that is I wish we'd have come 5, 6, 7 years later, because we could have received some of that commercial success. But that's just, that's just at the time, again, that's just a bit of ego and personal frustration. But I don't feel like that anymore. I'm very proud of it. I love it. I did go through a long period as well, Dave. I guess I'm not sure the exact dates, but I don't know, maybe 2011, 12 through to about 2017, 18, where I wasn't motivated by it. I wasn't inspired by it. I didn't particularly like it. And in the last 3-4 years, post lockdown, I've just fallen in love with it massively again. And I'm starting to produce again. I've got some great projects. I don't do it as a living anymore, Daz. I do. It's a pastime, and that's massively significant because it takes all of the pressure off. I can go in there and just produce, and I've had fun making some house music and some garage music, and then I came back to drum and bass, and all of a sudden, drum and bass was enjoyable again for me to produce, and not, when you first get into it, I just want to, for me, I just want to release a record on RAM. Then I do that, or we do that. And then over a couple of years, all of a sudden, well, this is paying my bills now. So it's serious. It's my profession. And when you go in the studio, when it's like that, it's different. There's a different kind of pressure. And we didn't manage that pressure that well. You look at the guys now, like Sigma, Pendulum, Chasing Status. I mean, these guys have managed that pressure brilliantly, and they are pop stars as well as still having massive respect within the drum and bass community. And that's not easy to do. 20 years ago, that would have been called a sellout. Well, now these guys have done it in such a just a I don't know, just an accessible way that that those labels aren't thrown at people anymore. It was back in the day. If anyone released a tune that got major success, it was they're commercial, they're sellouts. Well, that wasn't the case. I don't think anyone actually went out of their way to make a commercial track. I mean, I know a couple of people did, and they did it with great talent. But no, it's a very healthy phase now. And when I go out and play it now, I enjoy it more than I ever have done. There's no pressure. As I said, it's not my job anymore. I work in sales, so that pays my bills. So when I go out and DJ, I'm going to enjoy myself. I'm not stressing about DJing anymore. I used to get so nervous back in the day, and I don't anymore. I just embrace it and enjoy it, which is wonderful.
Well, that's good to hear. But before we get on to talking about our favourite football team, I do want to take, I want to hear your thoughts. We lost two of the biggest, I think, artists in drum and bass in Randall and MC Conrad. Obviously, Randall was a big influence on you. Can you kind of talk to us about, what Randall meant to you?
Yeah. I mean, first of all, massive loss. Just for me, it was out of nowhere. I don't even still really know if close friends knew the full extent of it. I saw him last summer. I had the chance to introduce my daughter to him, and we ended up going out on a pedalo. Me, Randall, and Eliana, my daughter, and it was so surreal. I was like, we're on a pedalo with Randall, and I was saying to Ellie, my daughter, saying, "You don't understand, babe. This is Randall. This guy. I grew up with this guy." So growing up, there was a legendary night in London called AWOL. I don't know if you've heard of it. It was in Paradise Club in Islington, and he was the star. Him and MCGQ were the stars, and his mixing was just on a different level. It was intense, and it didn't sound like mixes. It sounded like one tune. I never heard that before. I could always tell when the DJ was in the mix. But with Randall, sometimes I'd be going, "Is he in the mix?" He was that tight, and it was that smooth, and he was just all of our heroes growing up. So around about 1998, 99, when I got introduced to him, and we made Turbulence, and then he was such a nice guy, just such a lovely guy. He had time for everyone, massive personality, making a joke, taking the piss out of everyone. It was infectious to be around. Really lovely guy. We did a tour with him in America, and we became a friend, a good friend. So extremely saddened, but a massive part. And also, let's get some context here as well. For me, after Randall, the best DJ for many years was Andy. Andy was the best. And who did Andy learn from, and who was Andy's inspiration? It was Randall. That fluent, interlocking mixing style. So him and GQ, Randall and GQ, were just massive inspirations to us. And last September, I saw him. I played at a festival down in Maidstone, and I saw him, and he was all vibes and energy, and it was really, really sad. I remember saying to him, because when I saw him in the summer, he looked big, and I said to him in September, I said, "Oh, Rand, you look good. You lost weight. You look really good." And 2.5 weeks later, I heard the news, and I just couldn't believe it. It was an absolute shock. But for me, and people will all differ, we've all got our own opinions, but for me, he's my number one. He was my number one.
Yeah, no, it's a massive loss, but the great thing I can always say, his work is put down in music and mixes, so he's always there. That's the great thing, and I think for me, also, like MC Conrad was one of the best MCs, like him and LTJ Bookham, just stole it for me. Just you could, you could always tell it was Conrad, just his voice, you know. So
I just spoke to Adam F about Conrad here, because he made a a lot of music with Conrad, and he was very iconic. From a personal level, he wasn't the peak of the inspirations for moving the music, but it was always that voice and that uniqueness that he had with Bookham, and the route that they went down and what they did. Massive loss, and we've lost a lot in the last few years. It's not just them two, you know. I mean, Skibbity, Fats, you know, Marcus Intellects. We've lost so many.
Yeah.
Very tough, very tough.
It is, but you know, like I said, they're in drum and bass folklore and musical folklore, which is great. Let's talk about Liverpool Football Club. You know,
do we have to?
As a London boy, how come Liverpool? You know.
I mean, come on. As you can imagine, Daz, I get asked this question a lot. And growing up in East London, like 7 tube stops from Upton Park, all of my friends were West Ham fans. And I used to go to West Ham, go in the North Bank, like sneak into the North Bank of West Ham at 11, 12 years old. But by 5 or 6, I was already a Red by then, you know. I was born in 77, so I don't remember us winning that, obviously, you know. But I do remember, I don't know how, I do vaguely remember 81. I don't know how. And then 84 in Rome is clear to me. I can still remember it, you know. I still remember seeing Soonish lift it. So before I was old enough to know what supporting a football club was about, I was already a Liverpool fan. And you can imagine being born in East London, you know, like 10 miles from Upton Park. I used to get all sorts of shit, man. But I didn't care. And I'll tell you my first experience. So I wanted my dad to take me to a game. And eventually he agreed. He doesn't like crowds, my dad. But so, and he was a Forest fan. He used to love Brian Clough. So he was not a Forest fan. Now he's an avid Red. I mean, he loves Liverpool. Since about the age of about 18, 19, for me, when I was 18, he's been a Red since, because I influenced him, my love. And I've taken my dad to Anfield as well. And he's a massive Beatles fan, so he loves the city anyway. And so my first ever game I went to Upton Park. My dad got me and my brother tickets, and we went there, and we were right on the corner of the North Bank. So we're in the West Ham fans. 3 minutes in, my hero at the time, John Barnes, we get a corner on the right-hand side. So Barnesy comes over to put in an in-swinger, and he puts the ball down, and Upton Park is close. It's like, you know, the byline's there, and the fans are like a metre and a half away. So he puts the ball down, and he backs up in his silver jersey, which I was wearing, the silver Crown Paints jersey. And as he backs up, I just put my hand on his back, and he just looked round at me like that, and just looked at me and looked away. And I remember just looking at my dad and went, and my dad just looked at me and smiled, and Barnesy took the corner. And I was like, there's no way back from this now, you know, it's over. And hey, let's face it, I made a good choice, right? West Ham or Liverpool, come on.
But I do miss the you know, the old stadiums, Upton Park.
Oh, I do.
Highbury, just because you're right there on the pitch.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you've got these beautiful new stadiums like Tottenham's and Arsenal's. But I mean, you're so far removed from the pitch. It just doesn't like get me there.
I mean, being a Scouser, Daz, I'm sure that you would feel this even more than me. But when they chose to reinvent Anfield, I was so happy. So happy. You know, you look at, like, you know, what they've done with Bramley-Moore Dock with the Toffees, and it's a great stadium. But Goodison's got all that history, and, you know, I don't want to say too much good stuff about the Blue Noses, but what, you know, we missed the White Hart Lane, Highbury, Goodison Park, Upton Park. I love them old grounds. They're different. You can't recreate that.
Yeah, there's nothing like especially going away to like Fulham, because their ground's really old as well. There's just like a rich history in all these older clubs.
And you feel it. You actually feel it. There's history there, and you feel it. I've been to the Emirates days. It's dry.
Yeah.
Shout to all you Arsenal fans, by the way.
Yeah, I've got a couple of mates that are Arsenal supporters, and I love their tears right now.
Yeah.
Just because they're kind of going through what we had to go through a few seasons ago.
Yeah,
with City. So I've got no love loss. But I was going to ask you who your childhood hero is, but you've already answered it in Barnsley. What was it?
Barnsley at a late stage. Earlier on, it was Kenny. Obviously, Kenny was massive. I used to love Alan Hansen. Brucey Grobbelaar was iconic. I used to love Craig Johnston. Craig Johnson. Rushy, of course, Rushy. But there was one team. I think it was the 87-88 team. It was when we had Barnsley, Beardsley, Steve McMahon in midfield, Jan Mulby, Ronnie Whelan, Brucey would have still been there, Hanson would have still been there. But that era there, Beardsley and Barnes, them two, I mean, they were just magical.
Yeah, and Aldridge as well.
Johnny Aldridge.
To come on. I mean, the late 80s team was absolutely phenomenal, but then...
Such a shame they didn't get to compete in Europe.
Yeah. Well, things happened, and it just wasn't good for football. But it wasn't just Liverpool's fault. Of
course not.
A lot of other dickhead fans will tell you it's all Liverpool's fault. But I'm sorry, it was mostly England fans that fucking ruined it for everyone with the hooliganism. But we go from like the late 80s, where that team for me was one of the best teams I've ever watched in my life.
Yeah.
Go forward 20 odd years, and we have Klopp and his team.
I love Klopp.
I'd never, it took him a season or two to tweak things, but I'd never seen football played that way in my entire life, because it was entertaining from start to finish. It was always like, all right, you score 2 against us, we'll fucking score 3 against you. It was just...
It was like two heavyweight boxers, wasn't it? And we were the dominant one. We just went right hook, left hook, jab, right hook, left hook. It was relentless. What, heavy metal football, did he call it?
Yeah.
I see a lot of similarities, Dave, but between the transition between, and it's kind of a bit of a cliche, I guess. Now I've heard it, a couple of other people say it, but beginning of the season, when I started to see Slot do really well, I started to think there's some similarities to when Paisley took over from Shankly. Shankly's revered, but in terms of trophy success, Paisley eclipsed Shankly massively. But Paisley wouldn't have done that without the foundations that Shankly laid, and I feel like that with Klopp, and I feel like Slot's coming in and has done a fantastic job. But the groundwork, he made us all believe again. Klopp made us all believe again.
Well, I think the similarities go a little bit further too, because Shanks was man of the people, and he was loud as well. Klopp,
big socialist.
Yeah, he got Liverpool, and so did Klopp. And then Paisley came in. Paisley was obviously he's the quiet one. He's called the quiet man. Slot's kind of the same.
Yes.
But Klopp, last January when Klopp said he was going to, leave at the end of the season, it broke my heart. It really did.
Same.
Because I wasn't ready for it. But a few months before, he just looked like he lost weight. He looked sick all the time. He looked knackered.
I agree.
And
do you think, guys, let me ask you this, do you think that there was some medical advice, do you think? Because I agree with you. He didn't look healthy, I thought at points.
But can you imagine, though, like being a top world-class manager, though, and he has to think about football 365 days a year. I mean, he really does. This bollocks where it was FSG didn't give him enough money, that's why he left. That's a load of horse shit.
Absolute load of rubbish.
Don't believe that whatsoever. It was just you know, uh, every day he's thinking about football. He
It
needs,
takes its toll, does.
and you know, the summer before that, he thought about leaving, and it was his missus that was like, let's just stay another,
Yeah.
you know, another couple of seasons and see where we're at. But the great thing about Klopp is he didn't just go, you know, fuck it, you know, I'll leave when I leave. He put us in such good
Yeah.
position, you know,
Yeah.
and this stuff about, you know, I loved the transition as well, how Slot took, and he pissed a lot of Liverpool fans off, which in the beginning, because he didn't have that interview within like 2 weeks after the season, you know, when he was brought in. I like that, where he let the kind of fanfare of Klopp drop off.
Absolutely. I'm so glad you said that.
And I
Yep.
think that was quality. He
It
go,
was strategically done. He knew what he was doing there.
yeah,
Let's let everyone mourn. You know, because it was a sense of mourning for me anyway. You know.
yeah, 100%. You know, I still like. I just saw the first episodes of Doubters to Believers, the new one on Prime. Good God,
Oh,
it gets a hold of you, man. It really does.
oh my gosh! When did you watch that?
I watched it last week. Well, it's not even
Oh,
in the
I've not
States.
seen it.
Yeah, it's on Prime in the UK. It's not out over in the States, but a
That's
mate.
that's that that's you. That's my TV sorted for tonight.
Yeah, yeah. You'll bring some tissues, enough for the dirty part. For your tears, for tears, if you're listening, everyone.
No, it's all right.
Nothing else.
I get emotional a lot anyway, so I'm sure I'll get emotional over that.
But there's no way that any Liverpool supporter can say when Slot's name was, you know, banded about, people were going to go, you know what, he's going to do really well, because I knew nothing about him. I read up as
Nothing.
much as I could, and you know, Feyenoord were doing really well. They just won the Dutch, you know, first division, and I was just like, you know, well, we'll see where we're at, you know, and obviously we only bought Chiesa. So I was like, you know, how are these lads going to cope? You know, they're a year older. The one thing, well, there's many things I can say about Slot. The medical team have got it spot on. We had so many muscle injuries with Klopp because of the way he played.
He pushed them. Yeah, he pushed them. Yeah.
But doesn't even seem like this team is getting out of second gear yet.
No, I know, right?
That's what I love. We can go up a few more gears.
Oh, I'm so glad you said that, Des, because I feel the same. I feel like I think I've only seen us at our absolute best on maybe 5 or 6 occasions.
Mm-hmm.
Real Madrid, we were really good.
Yeah. City were really
Tottenham away, we were brilliant.
Yeah.
West Ham away, we were brilliant. City as well, we were good there. But I agree. I think there's so much more to come. You know.
Mm-hmm.
And what he's done with Gravenberch, oh my gosh.
Yeah, he's a totally different player.
Yeah.
It's confidence. That's the thing. And you can see when you watch Liverpool play, the smiles are back.
Mm.
You know, they kind of gone last season, but the smiles are back, and you can tell these lads play for each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I love it when you know, halfway through the season, people were saying Robbo's done, he's dusted, he's shit, his legs have gone. I love players that just go, fuck you. And Robbo's done that.
I just love Robbo. I love Robbo, man.
He's absolutely brilliant. His humour's brilliant, but his leadership skills are brilliant.
I really hope, Dave. I really hope that he gets a couple more years, because I think he's coming towards the end, obviously. But you want him around the place, and also,
of course you do.
You know, if he's not playing 50, 60 games a season, if he's playing 25, 30 games a season, he'll be fine, man. You know?
Yeah, just bring in like the young lad from Bournemouth. I like him.
Yes.
Tsimikas, just, you know, I love the Greek scouser, but I just think his time at Liverpool is probably coming to an end. We need,
possibly.
You know, if you have Robbo senior leadership, and then you have, you know, the young lad from Bournemouth, I don't know how old he is, maybe 20, 21, you know, can learn from Robbo.
From Robbo.
But yeah, I'm with you on, like, if Robbo can play 25, 30 games, a season, I think keep him.
If Robbo, it's down to him. If he's prepared to go, okay, I'm not going to play every game. I'll get 25, 30 games a year. If he's okay with that, I'd like him there for at least another 2 years. I think, You know what I saw today, interestingly? I just saw it about half an hour before we started this call. I saw a snippet on Instagram of Trent and Mo in training today. And they have you seen it?
Mm-mm.
No, there's like a big altercation. Mo goes up to Trent, and Trent's gone in heavy on Mo, and they're having words with each other, and everyone's trying to make a joke of it. But you can see they're pretty angry with each other. So I'm going to look into that later and see what went on there.
Yeah, I'll go check that out too. It's probably just a little, look, let's not do anything silly in training.
I think that's what Mo was saying. Yeah.
And Mo's Mo. I just can't believe his stats. It's absolutely insane. And, I hope this isn't his last season. And I have a feeling I don't think it is. I think 2 of the 3 are already done. And I think we know who the 2 are, which is...
Yeah, I think unfortunately, the one that you're talking about, I think that's already done as well. I think he's off to the Bernabeu, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to be that Liverpool supporter again that's going to go, fuck you, you rat. He's been at the club since he was 6. He's 26 now. Yeah. And he's won everything for us. So if he wants to, try Madrid, then all the best to him. I mean, when we play Madrid and he's in the team, then you can fuck off,
Yeah, I agree. And that's interesting coming from you, Daz, because most Scousers feel differently. If you're from the city, and I always say this to friends, I say they say about Everton, and I say I don't hate Everton, I can't stand United, but if you're from the city, it's like Michael Owen. I don't hate Owen. Brendan, who hooked you and me up, cannot stand Owen McManaman, but it's different. So it's interesting that you're from the city and yet you're not the same.
I'm a bit over it. I mean, like, Owen is a bit different. He went to Man United, and that for me is finished. McManaman, he shouldn't have left Liverpool, but he did what he did, and he did well at Madrid.
He did well there, to be fair.
It's just I'm just to the point where I can't really hate someone anymore. Hate is a horrible word.
Well, also, pick that. Everyone hates Coutinho. Now, he chose to go to Barca, and for his career, it was actually a bad choice. He didn't deliver. But what did we get from it? About £140 million. We bought Alisson and Van Dijk. That was the money that got us to where we got.
Yeah, I think the biggest issue, Jeff, I think with Trent is because his contract.
We're going to get nothing for him, of course.
Exactly. So I think a lot of Scousers probably would be going, got 100, K for him. They'd say a little bit different, but because he's going to go for free. And, again, a lot of people are looking at the ownership. Why did why did it wind down to this? And it's really up to the player as well. I mean, if Trent just went, in going, well, there's a new manager coming. I want to see, how that is.
Yep.
I hope all 3 re-sign. In a perfect world, that's a perfect world. But I just think 2 are already done. I do.
Virgil's definitely done.
Yeah, I think Mo's done. Really.
Do you?
Yeah, because I mean, I saw the stats today too. He's, I think, 5 off of I know he's 10 or 15 off of Rooney, for
Yes.
So he wants to break records. I mean, he can go to Saudi. Mo's
I think if he signs for another a year or 2, or even a year, I think he gets the second. Huh?
We can still sell him.
We can still sell him, and I think he gets to number 2. I don't think he can reach Shearer.
No chance.
But he can get to number 2,
Yeah, I agree. I mean, he's already past Aguero, which is insane.
Yeah.
The thing is with Mo, he still wants to play at the top level. Saudi Arabia, yeah, the money's great, but you're playing for 800 people, 2,000 at most. You're playing at night because it's so damn hot. He knows in 2, 3 years he can go to Saudi and just, live like a king. There's no other football team like PSG. Come on. He's not going to go to PSG. Real Madrid aren't going to buy him because they want younger players.
Yep.
So Liverpool is that's the best there is. And
I completely agree. I think
it's just, the whole, it's the agents, dropping these little things. That's the thing these days. I wish we could bypass the agents, because that's the biggest issue. Is the agent wants a massive cut, and they want the best deal so they can get the best money as well.
They have their own agenda outside of football, outside of the fans, outside of the club, outside of the player. They are looking for commission.
Yeah, and it's shirt sales is a percentage of that, and what is it, media rights as well. It's not just like a handshake like it used to be back in the day. You want to play for our club, here's the offer, okay, I'll take it. Now it's like we got to sit down with the lawyers, talk about media, talk about shirt sponsors, talk about other sponsors. There's so much going on, and I think a lot of the fan base don't understand that it's complicated. It's not just sign on the dotted line. I completely
agree. It's extremely complicated, legally complicated, commercially complicated. It's very difficult.
Now, what has been, as a Liverpool supporter, what has been your favourite match so far in your
whatever?
Yeah.
It's extremely hard to look past 05 in Istanbul, of course, right? Of course. But I can also go back to like the 86 FA Cup final against Everton as a kid. That was magical. The 89 final against Everton, magical. And then I guess go in 2009 when we go away to Old Trafford and we beat them 4-1. That was special for me. That was special. But then I think almost feel like this eclipses Istanbul in some ways. And you know what I'm going to say, don't you?
Of course.
Barca 2019. I mean, I just 4-0 against that Barcelona team with Messi and Coutinho and Suarez and Busquets and, all these players, man. And I just remember at the end of it, I literally couldn't comprehend what I'd seen. I couldn't, not just the game, but the atmosphere and also the Chelsea semi-final in 05 as well at Anfield.
Yeah.
That was special as well. That was special. But if I had to pick one, I would split it with Istanbul 05 and Barca at home 2019. What about yourself? Same, Daz?
2001 FA Cup against Arsenal.
Against Arsenal, yeah.
Scored
the Owen final, yeah.
Because Arsenal was such a good team back then, and we won. And same in 2005, we should not have won that final against Milan. That was insane.
No. We had Jimmy Traore at left back, Daz. How did we win a European?
Yeah, as I call him, the giraffe.
We had such an average team, didn't we?
Yeah, and I mean, come on, Dudek was halfway to the penalty.
He was on the 6-yard box.
I mean, you can't get away with stuff like that now.
It makes me laugh watching it now.
It does. When I was watching it that day, because I wish I could have gone, but it was just one of those mind-blowing. Like, I think once the second goal went in, you went, it's happening. You just knew, and I think same with the Barcelona.
I've just got goosebumps all down my back, Dave. From you saying that, I just thinking about when Smeets scores that second one.
You just knew.
It's on. It's on, man.
I think, when we came out at half-time, my whole thing was like, let's just don't let them score and let's just get a goal, and call it that. And then we got that second, And I looked at me mate and I was like, we're winning this. And he was like, nah. He was like,
Yeah.
nah. And, we went on. And I think with Barca, what made me think we were going to, well, I didn't think we were going to win 4-0. That's for damn sure. I thought we would beat them, and we would beat them well, because we played really well at the new camp. Even that
Yeah, we did. We
3-0,
did.
we had our chances.
We did.
They were lucky, apart from the Messi free kick, which was absolutely world class.
Yeah, yeah.
We went toe to toe with them.
We really did.
But I believe Dembele was about to score the fourth, and he messed it up. I think we wouldn't have come back from 4-0.
No, I think 4-4 is probably it's over.
But I think at 2-0, you started to because I was watching it. I was actually leaving for back home here. I was in the pub 2.5 hours before the airport, getting just pissed up. And, that second goal went in, and I'm around all my mates, and we're like, I'm feeling, the cop just drag us, and then the third one went in, and then that fourth one, you just like, what just happened?
What just happened, man?
I actually thought they were going to pull it back and go, you
to take it too quickly. Yeah.
But I mean, we waited 20, 30 seconds before Trent asked the corner. So when it went in, I was just like, and then everybody at the pub just erupted. And then I drank way too much. I got to the airport really late. Thank God they let me through. Lost me passport, lost me wallet, because I'd thrown it in the bins. And, they put it through really quickly. So I got out the other side of security.
Just forgot it where you were all drunk.
Yeah, and I was trying to explain it. And, the scouseness was coming out even. and the TSA agent was like, what? Can you slow down? I was like, me passport, me wallet. And then somebody had found it and gone, oh, I heard there's a passport and wallet missing. And they brought it over and they're like, is this you?
Lucky sod, man.
Well, I would have been able to get on the flight, but I wouldn't have been able to come back. So I was like, oh, thank God. So yeah, I drank on the plane. The stewardesses were all Chelsea supporters, but they were like, they kind of knew, they knew the score, so they were just like giving us beers. And God, I felt awful once I got off that plane. Like terrible hangover. But yeah. Before we go, I know you've got to go.
I do actually, Daz. Yeah, I do need to wrap this up now. Apologies. But you know what, though, mate? I feel like I could go on talking to you for hours here. I've been conscious of the time. So we should catch up outside of this on another time.
100%, mate. I want to ask you any upcoming releases.
No, not as yet. I mean, loads of stuff. As I said to you earlier, got some really good projects. It's just balancing the time between holding down a 9 to 5 and being a dad and everything else that life throws at you, and finding the time to get in there and finish these projects off. But no releases in the diary as yet. But I have every intention of trying to get something out, a single or an EP at some point this year.
Nice one. Well, I want to say thank you so much for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure.
It's been a pleasure, yeah.
I do these podcasts because you're all people, that have been in my musical landscape. So it's great to, finally chat with you. As I always say to everyone, please put your earbuds on. Please check out new artists. Please check out new music. There's loads out there. And I know Jeff hasn't put out stuff for a while, but please go check out Moving Fusion tracks. Whatever you listen to, check them out. And please stay safe, take care of one another, and we'll see you later.